by Cure. So here we go, we're getting ready on the first map. Of course, this is Evil's map. Rafa dropped this against him in the grand finals of QuakeCon. So we're up on Evil to begin with, as God drops for that rocket and the yellow. So let's see exactly how this goes. God with the quick rocket jump across there to that red, but look at this risk. Can Evil hit the shot? He's looking for it. He jumps towards God, finds him, and God backs away. He manages to escape, but the damage was significant. Of course, always relying on that consistent damage done by the lightning gun is Evil. It is his thing. It's very difficult to play against. He's not so he needs the railgun, which is insane because he's so good with it as well. Just missing that angle there, but God is in a very traumatic position. He's got to try and scrape together armor and health, and look at that. Evil reads the double back. He knows that God wanted to go for this yellow instead of the other one. But red spawning soon, and this, look at this. He gets the yellow, and he can get the other one. He can apply pressure on both. God could maybe take the red, but he doesn't want to because he's so scared. And great damage, and God, but the rail, that's exactly what I was saying. Just, Evil doesn't need the rail. He doesn't need to even use the rail to kill you. But he can. Like when he pulls it out, it's still extremely scary. But it's the power of this is that he doesn't ever rely on it, which a lot of players do. They rely on hitting shots. But Evil's just a bonus. Does not factor into his game too heavily. Evil with one frag in the lead now. Even after God's great play. I mean, if we look back at Evil's play, taking both yellows, that shows that he knows God's going to be too scared to take the red from him. That means that he knows that he can put it up. So I think it's just an amazing decision, amazing play from Evil, very smart. But it could be argued that he's the best Bloodrun player at the moment. In Quake Live, Evil might just be the best Bloodrun player there is at the moment. So, and he rocket jumps up, finds himself a guard, and dispatches him almost too easily. It's quite Cypher-esque how easy he made that look. And once again, God helpless off the spawn. Evil will create another frag for himself, extending his lead ever forwards in this series as God tries helplessly to dart back and forth with the railgun, but Evil is there ready and waiting with the red armor pickup with the railgun. There's nowhere for God to escape to. Absolutely nothing that he is even able to do against Evil's extreme presence that he brings to Bloodrun. Even though God is an amazing Bloodrun player himself, at this start for Evil was just so good, and he just didn't miss his shots. So there is a little bit of breathing room. Evil does miss those two rails there, but look, he's happy to just go over the edge repeatedly, just to find those shots, and he will find even more. So Evil gonna try to cover the 50s with the grenades right there, and make his way back over to this yellow. Get himself some shards, and he's pretty much got the entire map in his palm. Everything wrapped around, he's got God wrapped around his little finger, and God is going to be able to try to make a play. But I mean, if we look at his God stack, he needs one more yellow, there it is, he needs the 50, as we just switch back onto Evil, he's connecting another rail. And all this damage just makes God even more helpless. It makes God even more desperate, and Evil's going to fall back onto another yellow. He can even get, the scary thing is that he could potentially, if he's really fast, like he could just go up the jump pad there to that yellow. That's like a crazy risk he could take. He's not going to go for it though, and that yellow is actually still up. It's just taking the guard, so he's really giving God absolutely nothing. Just one yellow at least every cycle. That's the very best that God can do right now against Evil. And at the same time, he's losing frags because Evil keeps getting damage. He just doesn't have per minute the amount of resources taken to stay alive. That's just insane damage. My God. God is a player that we haven't seen any forfeits today actually. God isn't really a player that does do forfeits as far as I know. I think that's correct insane. He's not really a player that ever does it. He'll always play the 10 minutes. But this is kind of a situation where you can feel it from Evil's perspective, but in God's perspective, he can sure as hell feel it as well. Like how easy it is for Evil. Like how you run into him, and you tried various options. You try to go for this play or that play, and you just got shut down like nothing else. And if you keep running into stuff like that, and you get behind 6-0 at 5 minutes on Blood Round against Evil, you're already thinking, okay, I'm done. It's over, I'm done. So this is the point where I would see a lot of players forfeit against Evil. But God's going to stick in there. He's going to keep fighting to the bitter end and see what he can make happen. And you're going to pick up more shots, going to find himself more ammunition. Let's go over to God's perspective. Seems like his stack is always around this level. Takes another yellow. So he spots the yellow. This is a bad shot. Look at this, he can't take this fight. If he hits the rail as well, then he's in Guard straights once more. But out comes the LG. Guard is playing with fire right now. There is the rail. And really that's the rail that kind of ends Guard, because look at this, he's got 7 health. He can maybe pick up some more, but the thing is that to get all the health, he's in risky spots. Takes the double 25s. I think Evil messed up the rocket jump there. I heard a rocket jump, but I think he messed it up. Or he faked it. A rocket jump there would have killed Guard, for sure. Great rocket damage coming in from Guard there, though. And if we just look at the item pickups, Guard has had 0 megas to the 10 of Evil. 1 red to the 12 of Evil, 14 yellows to the 10 of Evil. So that just really tells you a lot. And there's Mega, but will Evil get the rail? No, Evil just deny that as well. So Evil takes absolutely everything. 3 minutes left now, and the story is just complete monopoly of the map by Evil. As everything appears very, very, very simple for him. And again, more damage, you get the red, but the amount of damage that you took for it makes it an even trade. Evil though is pretty weak, but again, hitting crazy shots. We can just look at his stats, he's doing quite well there. Decently. And again, Evil's someone who does spam a lot as well, so the percentages aren't that accurate. But it's better to look at the damage done. And he's done a hell of a lot of damage. So there you go, the rocket jump up, 2.5 minutes remaining, hits another rail. Effectively denying Guards again. 7-0. It's quite hard to look at Guard's options. He does at least have Evil somewhat low, as we can see right now, but he's got to make a crazy committed play. He's got to be desperate right now. The time for being calculated is over, and there you go. Evil even kills himself with a bad rocket, but he spawns the LG. Oh my god, he gets the best possible spawn. That's so unlucky for God. I mean, he really should have positioned himself to prevent that, but that's really unlucky nevertheless. And that basically gets Evil fully back in the game again, and there's just nothing God can do, I think, at this point. It sounds like a very, very what is the right term or word? I sound like I feel like God is losing all the time, but it really, I mean, if you've been watching this game, you can really feel it with me that God hasn't had many chances. Evil's shut him down many times, especially in the first 5 minutes. Evil was very, very dominant, and so it really makes it hard for me to see how God can really combat that, at least on this map. But we'll see how this goes in the series. Winner does play Cypher, of course.
1 minute warning.
In case you're wondering, in case you just tuned in. This is FACEIT TV, and this is Quake Live. Evil picking up another easy frag, and there it is. God actually forfeiting the last 50 seconds of the map, throwing out well played to Evil there, as we move on to the next map. So definitely looking very tough for God, and I mean, Evil. I mean, Rafa said it in an interview. You know, he said Evil's like this guy that's playing on a level like no other right now. So it's definitely always interesting to see him play. It's always interesting to see if there are players that are able to actually really test Evil, because at the moment it's very difficult to do that. He's just such a good player. He's such a good all-round player, so it's very hard to test him. Of course, LAN Evil apparently is actually as good and better than online Evil, so that's even scarier. But Guard is ready to go here as well with Evil on Cure. This is the second map. Cure, of course, not as strong as Blood Run for Evil, but still the guy is just so overpoweringly good that even on his weakest map, Toxicity, he's scary as hell. And Toxicity is pretty much the only real weakness of Evil when you take him in a best of 5, as was exploited by Rafa. And Rafa's very, very good there as well, so it really helped in that QuakeCon Grand Final. So here we go, map number 2, Evil match point. Winner of this plays against Cypher in the Grand Finals. And he spots his opponent long range. And Evil is going to make his way back around to the yellow side. And Yellow's just going to be... Oh, wasn't taken by Guardian just yet. Got up the jump pad, he goes. And no LG for either player, seemingly so. And that's going to be remedied right now by Evil. Oh, and perhaps not. Guard above him doesn't want to take that. Instead sticks to the close ranges until he can get that red. And here it is, picks up the LG. Some damage. The cost was some damage though. Mega not up just yet. There it is. But Evil and Guard are very wary of this. I mean, they both know it's up, but it's like, you can take it. You can take it. And Evil will do just that. And Guard, by staying there for so long, killed enough time that he was able to get the red, which is really good play from Guard, giving him a chance in this game. Evil still with a better stack though, especially after that red. We can see 80, 100 for Guard. Evil picks up some greens. No problem at all. Some rockets to the face. More rockets to the face. And there is the frag. There's red as well. So Evil gets a very clean frag. If you look at the next 20 seconds or so, able to pick up all the items afterwards. Here's the Mega. And Guard's not going to challenge much. At best, he could have a rail there. And it's always going to be a bad trade for him. So Evil in a commanding position once again on Cure. Red up again. He's like scanning around, trying to spot himself Guard, but Guard's nowhere to be found. I mean, Guard again, he's got options. He has to try and play it slow. He's got to use the greens, he's got to use the shards to his advantage. And here is more damage coming from Guard, from Evil. He knows that he can just bulldog his opponent. His stack is so good. And that's exactly what he does. But even stealing away the greens, I mean, it's quite crucial to do that. And you can see that he knows that Guard will think it's too bold of a move to go for the red, so he was like, alright, I'll just leave the red up then. So he, basically, what that means is that Evil is well and truly in the mind of his opponent. He's like, I know what you're thinking. I know you're thinking, and I feel so strongly that I know what you're thinking, that I'm basically going to make my decisions based on those things as if they were fact, even though it can't be fact because he's just predicting. But he's so good at reading his opponents that that's stuff that he's able to do sometimes. So, and it gets you super ahead. And that's where Evil is at the moment, super ahead. Guard with 100 armor. Quick on to Evil. Okay, he's in a lot of trouble, nice, okay. Initial commitment, good, but then nowhere to go after that, so Evil gets another frag. Steals away the red, but these rockets from Evil should do the job. There it is. And there's enough armor and health on this map for Evil to pick up, so he'll be fine. So just extending that lead, frag by frag by frag. Is it another Blood Run story? That is what I'm worried about. Is it another Blood Run story? There you go, Evil goes for that mega health. Guard wants to challenge. He knows that he has to. He knows his time is now. But there's not much he can do. The rail is saving Evil once again. Evil defends the red as well, quite easily. So Guard right now, off the spawn, he gets caught. There's not a lot he can do. It's very hard situation right now. Maybe it's going to have to be Cypher that shows his ability to stop this Russian menace. More rails coming in from Evil. And there is the red picked up. So 7-0 now. There's just what Guard is doing is not working. He needs to slow the game down. the last time he had a play that he wanted to make, last time he had armor with which to make a play, he committed everything and got in a really, really bad position and just got completely gunned down. So, I mean, it's not much to say from that perspective, as God has to make sure that he doesn't let his lead go extend any more for Evil. And here we go. 100 armor for Evil. This could be a moment for God, but he's got to execute. He has to execute. He's in a bad position. Even more reason that he has to execute to get himself out of these spots.
5-minute warning.
Waiting for the drop of God. So is Evil. Evil with a quick rail there onto the Mega. So God's going to steal that one away. Could get him back into the game, but the trade there was, okay, you have Mega, I have Red. I'm at 200 armor. Let's look at God. 150, 69, and ambushed. All his. If you could have said that he had an advantage there, which he didn't, it was instantly removed. Instantly removed by the ambush. Just not. It's like there's just it's helpless. That's really the best way for me to describe. If I could use one word to describe God's position against Evil in the series, helpless would be the one, because everything he tries, it just doesn't work, and Evil either knows about it before God does, and then prepares well for it, or he just out executes God. I mean, so on almost every front, he's outplaying the Lithuanians. So it's very, very hard to see exactly what God should be doing, because if someone's out executing you heavily, it's very hard to make decisions correctly. So, for example, like if you have a situation where you're like, okay, I have 300 stack, he has 300 like total collective health and armor, so we're even entirely on stacks, and we take an LG fight. What does it come down to? It comes down to positioning. The reason is because positioning allows you to hit better or make it harder for your opponent to hit you. So that means that what would be, 35 versus 35% LG becomes, 30 or 25% LG versus 40% LG, something like that, which then wins you the fight because your DPS is higher despite average stacks. So that's like these kind of things you can rely on, but then it gets really hard when your opponent hits so much more than you, because all those little calculations you do in your head, those estimates, they kind of just disintegrate. And you can find yourself very lost. You can find yourself making bad decisions based on that thought process. So that can be very hard to deal with sometimes, and we can see the score is 12-0 now with 3 minutes left. And he wasn't going to let up anytime soon. 13-0 now. So God unable to contend with the second place finisher of QuakeCon, Evil. What a great player Evil is, really. I wonder what it's like to be Evil. It must be pretty cool. Like you play Quake and you just destroy everything and everyone, apart from Rafa. I gotta say that Rafa in those finals was amazing. He really, really stepped it up. And I was really worried as well because they were on stage. So I was really worried that like the players could hear the commentary because they were really close. And they're on stage and it's like Rafa was sat like, let's see, like a meter away from me. He was really close to me on the stage. So I said to him before the series started, I was like, dude, I'm really sorry, like if you can hear me say stuff, because I've been in a situation where I've been wearing like the helicopter headphones with like active noise cancellation, but the commentary is being like next to me and broadcast in a little venue, and you can like, if everything's quiet in the game, you can hear stuff. And I remember winning a game because of that, because like in the game I started creeping around and I could actually hear stuff, even despite all the sound cancelling stuff. But it didn't seem to actually affect Rafa at all. I asked him about it afterwards, and he said it didn't really come into play. So that's like really awesome to hear that the finals weren't tainted in that way at all. So that's really good to hear. And actually, it's funny because Evil had a glare problem on his monitor. So the solution ended up being that Steve-O, who's like this amazing admin who is there every QuakeCon trying to make sure the tournament runs smoothly, and this year he did an amazing job. He even ran ahead of schedule, which is like, I don't know if that's ever happened before. So Steve-O was there, like with a black cloth, standing in front of, like behind Evil's PC, just like holding it up, like so that to like remove any glare from his monitor or whatever, just for the entire best of 5. So like mad props to Steve-O there. Shout out to Steve-O for actually doing that, because he's just holding this cloth up for like a good 30-40 minutes. So there you go, GG called. Random story there from QuakeCon. But there you go. Evil 20-0. I wish God would have forfeited much earlier. But you got a random QuakeCon anecdote out of it, so although it wasn't particularly interesting, so whatever. So there you go. It means that Evil's going to play against Cypher, which is kind of what we expected. So based on that, we're going to go to a quick break, guys. When we come back, we will have Cypher versus Evil, which should actually be a really good game. So stay tuned for that. But remember also to tell people about it, like tweet about that, and I don't know, post somewhere. I don't know where you can post, but post places, because Evil versus Cypher, come on. People got to see that. So stay tuned for that.